For God so loved the world, that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. There are some verses in the Bible that almost everybody knows. John 3:16 is probably at the top of that list. You'll see it on signs at sporting events, you'll hear it quoted in sermons, and many people memorize it as children. And because it's so familiar, there's a danger that comes with it. We can become so accustomed to hearing it that we stop hearing it. The words become familiar enough that we no longer stop and think about what they're actually saying. When you slow down and look at this verse carefully, it's remarkable from beginning to end. It starts with 4 words that tell us something important about the character of God. For God so loved, not tolerated, not merely accepted, loved. The story of Scripture is not primarily the story of humanity searching for God. It's the story of God reaching out to humanity. From Genesis onward, we see people wandering, rebelling, hiding, and going their own way. Yet again and again, God is the one taking the initiative. God is the one calling. God is the one pursuing. God is the one making a way. And John 3:16 reminds us why. Love. Not because humanity earned it, not because humanity deserved it, Lord knows, but because that is who God is. Then we're told who that love is directed toward. The world. That's easy to read quickly, but it's worth pausing on. God's love isn't limited to a particular nation, social class, economic status, or background. The invitation of the gospel, the good news, reaches outward towards every kind of person, the wealthy and the poor, the religious and the irreligious, the respectable and the broken, the person who has followed God for decades, and the person who only today begins seeking him. The scope of God's love is larger than we often imagine. Then we come to the evidence of that love, that he gave. Love isn't merely described, it's demonstrated. It's easy to claim love when it costs nothing. It's much harder when sacrifice becomes involved. God didn't just simply announce his love from a distance. He acted. He gave his only begotten Son. Yeshua didn't come into the world because humanity was doing so well that heaven wanted to congratulate us. He came because humanity needed saving. The cross was not God's reaction to a minor problem. It was God's answer to humanity's greatest problem. Sin had separated mankind from God, and God himself provided the solution. That's what makes a grace so astonishing. The rescue plan originated with him. Sometimes I think of it a bit like being hopelessly lost on a long bike ride. Imagine you've taken a wrong turn somewhere out on unfamiliar roads. The farther you ride, the more confused you become. Every turn seems to lead farther from where you intended to go. Eventually, you realize that no amount of guessing is going to get you home. You need help. Spiritually speaking, that's the human condition. The problem isn't that people need a little better advice. The problem is that we're separated from God and unable to bridge that gap ourselves. John 3:16 tells us that God didn't leave us stranded. He came looking for us. And then we arrive at the promise that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. Notice that word, whosoever. That's one of the most hopeful words in the entire verse. The invitation isn't reserved for a select few. The door isn't open only to the strongest, smartest, most disciplined, or most religious people. The invitation is open to whoever believes. That doesn't mean belief is merely agreeing with a few facts. Biblical belief carries the ideal of trust, reliance, commitment. It's placing your confidence in Yeshua and what he has accomplished, rather than in your own efforts to save yourself. And the result is everlasting life. Not merely life that lasts forever, but life restored to fellowship with God. Life as it was always intended to be. For a Wednesday devotion, maybe this is a good moment to pause and remember the center of everything. Halfway through the week, it's easy to get caught up in schedules, responsibilities, deadlines, and distractions. It's easy to focus on 100 different things and lose sight of the foundation underneath all of them. John 3:16 brings us back to that foundation. Before there was your to-do list, before there was your next challenge, before there was your next worry, there was the love of God. A love that acted, a love that gave, a love that made way. So as you continue through the rest of this week, carry this truth with you. The good news is not ultimately a story about what you have done for God. It's a story about what God has done for you. And according to John 3:16, he did it because he loves. Thank you for joining me, my friends and family, and anyone else who might be riding along and listening as well. Halfway through the work week, folks. Hope to see you here tomorrow. And until then, Allah willing, shalom, shalom.